has been made of the last couple of days since the Paris attacks about Syrian refugees. Governor Nixon saying he opens up the state to Syrian refugees. Bruce Rauner saying, no, we're going to close the borders. 31 governors and counting have said, nope, we don't want them. Well, Mike Moon is a House of Representative here in Missouri. He's from the 157th District, which is just outside of Springfield. Representative Mike Moon, you're calling for a special session, so what can happen?
Well, as we all have learned, a state does not have the ability to refuse the placement of refugees in that particular state. I understand that. The problem, though, is that most people don't understand that the state cannot be forced to use state resources in the implementation of federal laws. So that's the purpose for the special session, to essentially tie the purse strings so that no state resources will be used to relocate refugees in Missouri, at least temporarily.
Mm-hmm. And so you want to tie the governor's hands so that he can't use any state money. So refugees would be allowed here in Missouri, because once they're allowed in the country, they can move anywhere they want. So,
well, they can be placed in areas. I don't think they have the freedom initially to move where they want to, but they're bussed in or flown into a particular area, and then that particular state is required to house them, feed them, clothe them, whatever, educate them. Now, I say that requirement is loose because, again, that state could say we're not going to use our resources to implement this relocation program.
Why are you worried about people who might be admitted into the country, say, 2 years from now, as opposed to a tourist who might come in? These Paris attackers weren't on any lists, so it's easier to fly into Missouri than it is to be relocated as a Syrian refugee.
There is no lessening of the concern. We should be concerned on all levels.
Right, I understand that, but the Syrian refugee is a problem that is it a solution to a problem that doesn't exist?
Well, look at the Syrian, or at least the person who had a Syrian passport in the orchestration of the attack on France. Who's to say that some of these refugees might have had a fake passport or other documentations concocted so that they could be posing as a Syrian refugee in hopes of getting into the country.
Mike Moon,
I believe there were five Syrians arrested in Honduras recently who had plans to come to the U.S. So, and that makes your point about coming in other means. But still, I think we need to be seriously concerned about those who are fleeing their country for whatever reason. I believe there are means that we could take to house them.
Would you be more
in
open?
Refugee camps in their area, so that they're more likely to go home once it's safe to do so.
Would you be more open to having a test for a Christian refugee as opposed to a Muslim refugee?
There should be the same test for all.
Okay.
It's not a litmus test on faith or religion, but I think we're in serious times. We need to take extreme measures on properly vetting these folks, and our officials in the government have stated very clearly that they can't vet them properly.
The argument,
so
Mike,
we should put a hold on it.
Sure. Mike Moon is a representative who wants to call for a special session here in Missouri. Mike Moon, there are experts in this who say that we, by doing this, by calling out the refugees, by making it harder, by changing the way we do it, is playing right into ISIS's hands. We're falling for their trap to make it easier for them to recruit potential terrorists. How do you respond to people who say you're causing the problem by doing something like this?
Well, if putting into place measures to protect our citizens, not just in Missouri and in the United States, is causing their ranks to grow, well, let them grow outside of the U.S., but not inside our own borders.
Again, but if you're creating more terrorists by this policy, then they can fly in since they're on a no-fly zone, since they're new, and do more damage. Aren't you doing more damage by you think you're solving the problem, but you're actually doing more damage.
So using your logic, we should say, or the experts' logic, we should say that let's just open our arms and invite them into our towns and our cities without properly vetting, knowing full well that there could be one who has intent on.
I don't think there's anybody
problems in the United States.
I don't think there's anybody out there who has said just open up their other borders and check their beard for lice and welcome them into the country. It's an 18 to 24 month process. But again, if we as a society and as experts in this, shouldn't we use our policy to create less terrorists than more terrorists? And if this policy, the experts say, plays into their hands so they can use it as a recruiting tool, aren't you on the wrong side of this story?
If this policy is enacted, they are already recruiting, and we are, according to them, the great Satan. They have in their plan, the Islamic religion has in their plan to require submission to their faith, or the result is death. We're the great Satan according to them, so it doesn't matter what we do. They're going to continue to recruit, and they're going to continue to attempt to take us down to our knees, which they've done that to France already. I think they have about a 7% Muslim population. It's growing. Dearborn, Michigan is another place where Christians are being persecuted, and they're taking over Dearborn, Michigan.
Christians are Christian.
If you take a look at it, you'll find that to be true.
Well, Christians are also being persecuted in Charleston, South Carolina, because they were praying there. They were having prayer there, and this roof character came in and shot him up. He was a Christian too. He was from a local Lutheran church. Would you be afraid of having people from his church move into Missouri as well?
I think we might be using the term Christian loosely. Someone who is a Christian who actually has a personal relationship with Jesus Christ and following the Lord and has the Holy Spirit living within him probably won't be acting that way.
I think a Muslim would probably say you're using the term Muslim loosely when you lump the terrorists in with peace-loving Muslims.
Then I'll take it.
So you are doing that?
Well, sure, because if someone is a practicing Muslim, look at what Islam says.
Right.
They're a religion of submission. You submit yourself to our faith, or the result is death.
All right. Let me last question for Mike Moon here. Just so I have you, if the experts say what you're doing is creating more terrorists by doing this, you say what? Do you agree with them that you might be making more terrorists?
Well, you can say that whatever you want to. I think whether we enact a different policy or not, they're still going to recruit, and they're still going to have the same mantra, and that is death to the great Satan.
Are you making it easier for them to recruit? Do you feel you're making it easier for them to recruit?
I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I think they already have their recruiting methods, and no matter what we do, they have a plan to death to America. So it doesn't matter what we enact, but I think we need to be very careful and be prudent in securing safety for our citizens, especially in Missouri and the United States.
Mike Moon, I got to run. Missouri House of Representatives. Mike Moon, thank you very much for your time, sir.
You're welcome.
All right. His district, I should say, is outside of Springfield here on the Big 550. KTRS, quick check traffic.